After we've done the rings, I'm going to move on with kind of the same scenario to shoot the other things that she has lying around. Like, let's say, for example, this right here. Let's say that this is the bride's grandmother's, right? And this is very, very, very important. Her grandmother passed away. She's wearing this as like a family heirloom. And I will ask her, you know, as I go through your details, are there, you know, is any of the jewelry really special to you? Is it any of it like a family heirloom? Is there anything that you really want to make sure that I don't miss? And if they tell me, oh yes, this is my grandmother's, or if they're like, oh, that bracelet, like I just bought it, you know, it's really nothing, I'm not going to focus too heavily on it. So for something like this, sorry, hotel bed, I'm cleaning you. There we go. So I'll come in, and no, I don't always need a reflective surface. I can shoot this tangled up in the veil. I can shoot it on a plain plate. But if I've got something like this, I'm not going to let it go to waste. So we'll come in here, and I want to show you a few things about shooting something like this. Like so. So to show you, you know, you come in here at, let's go f16. And you shoot this at f16. Coming on in. So I want to show you, if you look at all of the beads at f16, you can see you've got like the first two in focus, the rest kind of fade away into the background. I also take a look at this and I realize that I'm a little overexposed. To me, this is a little too hot. However, I kind of, just to make something really artistic, I just want to focus on that one bead in the forefront. So sometimes I will roll down to f4. I'm going to drop my exposure compensation by about a stop. Move my focal point right on top of the bead, like so, and fire. F4 on a macro, you're going to have the front, see, just the front bead in focus, and then everything else falls away. So the difference between f16 and f4 is pretty massive, and you need to be very conscious about how much of it and how little of it you want to be in focus. But if I am going to take something kind of artistic like this of the necklace, but I know that it's really, really, really incredibly important to her, then maybe I'll do something to really make it sort of stand out on its own. You know, not every shot fulfills your artistic desire. Some of it you're shooting nice and clean and all in focus because the client really wants to see it. So for something like this, maybe I'll just lay it on the veil, come in, focus, F11, see if I totally botched my exposure, which I'm not entirely sure I didn't do. Nope, perfectly good. Nice and clean. At F11, most of it is in focus. You kind of lose the back. It is nice and bright on the detail because I've exposed for the detail. But over back in here, when it falls back at the top of it, that's the bedspread. Because I've focused on something that's brightly lit and exposed for that, the dark background becomes even darker. So nice and clean. And a lot of times I'll get like the bride's mom who will want me to stack up all of the rings really nicely, maybe take a little bit more of a traditional shot. If they want me to put the rings in the flowers, we're going to put the rings in the flowers. Whatever makes them happy, I would be glad to. So again, the same sort of thing. Maybe I'm going to set up, she's got all these details. They're not crazy important to her. Nothing's an heirloom, but she just kind of likes them all. Maybe I'll just toss them all out on this nice shiny surface. Like so. And let's say this bracelet's the most important of all of the things that she's wearing. So I'll put the bracelet in the forefront. We'll start at F11 again. Nice and clean. Focusing right on the diamonds on the bracelet, and one shot. And I'm going to take one shot, and I'm going to take a look and see if I've got it. And if I got it, which I got it, I'm going to move on. Now the reason why this is so incredibly dark, because it looks pretty light over here, it's sitting on this, so we're getting the reflection. Naomi's sitting behind it. There's a couple people sitting on the chairs over here, so they're darker than what's going on here. The light's coming in, hitting the jewels, by the time I focus and expose for the jewels, the rest of the background goes dark. Good, so we're going to move onwards. So sometimes time will permit you to spend a lot of time with all of the details. If clients ask me how long I need with them, I ask for half an hour. I know that they're going to give me about 15 minutes when it comes right down to it. And I can set up a scenario. I know something like this works. I'll bang out every single one of the details just like this and then move on. If I have some time to play, I will attempt to do something different with every single one. That never happens. So if you're excitedly waiting for the time that you get an hour to shoot rings, keep on waiting, because we're all going to be waiting for that. So the next most often asked for picture that I get is a picture of the shoes. And a lot of people think pictures of the shoes are dumb. A lot of those people would happen to be men. Listen, when I got married and I looked for my wedding shoes, it took 3 months. And then I dithered back and forth, and then I cried about the price tag, and then I ended up buying them, and I love them. It's not just a detail. It's, for a lot of women, it's not just a thing you buy just because you have to buy it. It's an expression of personal style, and it's something that, for a lot of women, they're spending a lot of money on a pair of shoes for the first time in their lives, and they want a good shot of it. Yeah, because they've seen it on Pinterest, but I have no problems with that. I still want to make it gorgeous for them. But I do have a couple of, gentle rules. First of all, if you look into the shoe and it says comfort plus predictions, it's probably not really something I'm going to want to show in the picture. The big thing right now is brides buying those glitter Jimmy Choos. They're uncomfortable, nobody really likes them, and they're the same shoes over and over again. If it's got there's no way to sound it without sounding kind of elitist, but if it's got a really good label in it, the bride bought it because it's got a good label in it, so I want to show the label in the picture. If it's a Nina or a Colorific or something like that, it wasn't bought because it's a fancy shoe. It was bought because it's a shoe that's pretty, that she can wear, that's reasonable. I'm still going to show them off, but I'm not going to focus on any type of labeling. So when I'm looking to shoot the shoes, if I am fortunate enough to have something like a mirror, I'm absolutely going to use it. So I'm going to move these phenomenal flower arrangements out of the way. I'm not used to shooting tethered, so on a wedding day I don't normally have to move my tether out of the way, although that would be awesome. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to show you what I would do with the mirror and without the mirror. So I'm going to put this here, like so. And I'll set something up, and if I don't like it, I have no problems moving on. So I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to see what I like. Do I like the front of the shoe? Do I like the back of the shoe? Maybe I like the back of the shoes. So I'm put them like so. And I'll just play with them. And a lot of times I'm not the one playing with them. I'll be messing with it, but I'll have my assistant be moving them around. Like, hey, can you bring this one a little closer? Hey, can you put this one a little further away? So I've got something that I like, but I have a background problem, and I'm going to show you why. If I'm going to shoot something like this, and if I'm going to shoot a shoe, I do not need to shoot a shoe at f11. So I'll back down to f4. And I'll come in here and I'm going to show you what my problem is here. I'm here. So we're shooting the shoes like so. And the problem that I have here is that I'm not a huge fan of my background. As you can see, it's white shoes, it's a white pillow, it's okay, meh. And I'll usually look at my assistant and be like, meh, I'm not loving the background, what can I do? What I can do is take a suitcase and change my background. Thanks. I am full of something clever. And a lot of times, humorously enough, it is my assistant standing behind whatever it is, like this. Like this, because I want the blackness of her outfit. She doesn't like being a human backdrop, but we love her. Let me see if I got a big enough suitcase here. Yep. Now, when I'm on aperture priority and I've set up a scene like this, where you've got a very bright foreground and I've just changed my background to a dark background, what's your camera going to try to do? It's going to try to even it out, right? So then you're going to end up with a kind of grayish foreground and a grayish background is not going to look very good. In the image before, when I had the white background, most of the image was white. So it was pretty easy to trust your camera reading on something like that. For something like this, when your background is dark, you're going to have to tell your camera what to do. I know that I have to tell my camera to underexpose by at least a stop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm at f4, and I'm going to see if that does what I need it to do. Come on. And let's see if that was underexposing it enough. And you'll be able to see what putting the dark background in there did for the image. Right? Thanks. And a lot of times, like let's say this is a Jimmy Choo or a Manolo. And again, like I've mentioned before, a lot of weddings, even weddings with low budgets, middle class weddings, you know, not spending a ton on the stuff, a lot of these women will splurge out for the very first time and buy their first pair of Manolos. Or they'll spend $200 on a pair of shoes, which is a big deal for them. And I want to show this thing that they saved to spend their money for. So if you can see the shoe logo here, and it's something really fancy, I'll go with an F11 or an F13 so that you can see it. But for a shoe where, you know, it's just a shoe, it's a pretty shoe, but the label doesn't matter to them, I'll go with like an F4 so it minimizes that underside bottom of the shoe. So let's say that it's not an ideal world and you don't have, you know, a mirror that you can take off of the wall. Let me just move this over the way out here. And this is all I've got to work with. That doesn't still mean that you can't make something great. So let's see. And I've already started trashing the room, which is about right. But everything I take apart, I am going to put back together. Not for y'all. You're not my clients. I'm just kidding. I will totally put it back together for you. But let's say I just want to get a nice dark background, but I don't have a mirrored surface. I can still shoot the exact same picture. Total pet peeve of mine with the shoes when you're putting them together, people who put them together like this, put them together like that, so they curve into each other. Just a little trick. Sometimes if I can shoot this with the 70 to 200 at 200, I will. Sometimes I'll shoot it with the 85 1.4 at 1.4. But just for fun, we'll just keep shooting with the macro. I'll just roll the macro down to f3. Nice dark background. And let's see if I got my exposure right again. Take a look. There we go. It's the dark background. You can see. And it's not just that. We can move over to other things. And we can even trick it up a little bit more. Let's do something like this. With something like silk flowers. Our production budget was off the charts for this, as you could tell. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to show you that it doesn't matter if what you have is fancy or not fancy, even down to the details. You can still make something beautiful. So let's say for something like this, I'm going to reach down in my gear bag and find my friend the 85. My lens hood for this one is upstairs, so no lens hood. And a lot of times, like let's say I made a decision that I wanted my 85, but I had the macro on, and I couldn't get a hold of the 85 really easily, I would just ask my assistant, hey Sandra, will you grab the 85 for me? She'll roll her eyes at me, and then she'll go get it. Kind of one of those, didn't you know that you needed it at the very beginning, why do I have to go get this sort of thing? So then I'll take a look at this, and we'll see if I like it, which I might not, because honestly, this isn't very long. It's a little full. So maybe we'll just put this over here, and we'll put this kind of out off the background a little bit. And we'll take the two pieces and make it look like it was longer. Now, when you're shooting under a veil, you have to be really careful of the lines of the veil, especially like when you're shooting a bride. But even shooting the details, I don't want the veil to hit it too close to home because I need a little separation. Can I borrow you for just a second?
You want me over there?
Can you just come, like, make sure you don't block the light, but just sort of hold it like up.
Okay.
Do you mind?
No.
Thanks. The reason, you also have to make sure if she goes and stands over there, if she puts her behind directly in front of the window, she's going to block the light. So I've got this. I'm going to bring it out a little in front of me to give me a foreground. I'm going to go at 1:4. Underexpose a bit, understanding that it's going to freak out about my background. Realizing I might not have underexposed enough, but let's see. And let's see what I've got. I went at 1:4. I focused on the rose that's the closest to me. And there you go. Look at that. But you know what? This is almost perfect, but I don't like the left-hand side of the frame. So I'm going to steal this other suitcase and put it here just to block out the pillows, like so. Because I have yet to find a client who will build me a light box of darkness in their getting ready room, although that would be sweet. So I'm going to move this. Can you give it a shake? Like, yeah, perfect. So I want to move it so that there's not like a big crease right on top of the flowers, right? Put my focal point directly on what I want it on, because remember, you can't focus and recompose at 1.4. And fire. Aperture priority about 1 stop underexposed. Now your eye goes straight to the flowers because I put that other suitcase over there, which darkens down my background. And this could be anywhere. I mean, we're in the corner of a creepy room in a creepy church, which is really awesome. And you can still make a beautiful thing as long as you have the light directed the way you want it to. So you can see them side by side. You can see that the one on the left, when I'm looking at my own images, I'm looking at them like I'm judging a competition print of the own image. I look at the one on the left and I'm like, okay, my eye goes straight to the flowers, but then it kind of gets lost over in the left-hand side, which is also bright. I'm going to want to either darken that down in post or fix it when I shoot it, which is why I put the other suitcase up there. You can.
Good.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
How is everybody feeling? Do you have any questions about the gear, the focusing, managing the light? Anything? Internet? Is everyone still awake?
I just looked at a comment that I think you're like the MacGyver of wedding photography. I would really love to take you on any adventure hunts.
I think this stuff is so much fun. I think it's really, really, really fun. Because I want to make something luxurious and beautiful for people, but people mistake that the location is what you need to make something beautiful. And all I've got a window looking out on a parking lot that's actually kind of creepy. And it's raining, Seattle. And we still made this with, like, let's say your coverlet is not dark enough, right? Maybe my assistant and I almost always take sweaters with us to weddings because we never know if the ballroom's going to be freezing, even if it's the middle of the summer. So I've got a black sweater. I'll lay a black sweater on the bed. It'll give me a dark, if it's a pure white thing and I want to darken it down. But if it's a pure white bed with pure white pillows, maybe I'll just shoot that and I don't want something dark. But I want the clients to look at it and go, whoa, my bouquet was amazing. And the bouquet that I just shot is plastic hydrangeas. I think it's a napkin, wrapped in a napkin and tied with a fake silk bow. And it looks lovely. At 1.4, your eye goes straight to that thing that's in focus, and then you lose everything else, and it becomes almost like a watercolor, a beautiful graphic. And I'm not saying, what I want to be very, very, very clear about is that I'm not trying to trick anybody into thinking, oh, well, these flowers are really terrible, so I'm going to trick you to make them think that they're fancy. I just want them to look beautiful. And at 1.4, the bow becomes a beautiful, almost like watercolor look with the veil pouring over it. It's not about trying to make it something that it's not. It's about trying to make it really pretty.
Yeah.
So.
And just to clarify,
yes,
that this is longer than you'd probably spend on these setups,
yes.
Correct? On a real wedding day.
The actual shooting part of it, no. But I am not normally speaking at a very high volume to lots of people on the internet while I'm doing it, and my clients don't care what my settings are, so I don't need to tell them.
Right.
But usually everything that I've just done, I can do that in about 3 minutes.
Sure, okay.
And it's a manic rush of, I would have set the mirror up and I would have shot it, and then I would have said, Sandra, can you get this? And she would have grabbed it and moved it, cleaned it up and given the ring back while I moved on to the next thing.
Great.
Seriously, I could have been done with all of this in 3 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time I had. So if we're going to do kind of another trick, because why not? Because I have time. I'd love to. We're going to bring back our mirror. And I have thought about traveling with a mirror in the car, but once it reaches like I'm taking props, I need to stop myself. So we'll do the champagne trick. So we'll pour it. And I always am very, 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 very clear when I go grab champagne from the clients when I'm shooting these during the getting ready. I always say, guys, can I borrow some champagne for a picture? I don't ever want to grab it and walk off with it and have any of the brides, and I mean, you laugh, but I don't want any of the bridesmaids to be like, she just took champagne. Like she's drinking on the job. I do not ever drink on the job. Even if the clients are insistent, have a toast with us, have a mimosa, I never say no. I always just laugh and say, well, do you want your pictures in focus? And they're like, oh, we understand. Ooh, large bird. Sorry about that. Just flew dangerously close to us. That would be a first for Creative Live, to be dive bombed by a huge bird. And if I do, if it does spill, if it makes a mess, we clean it up. If I dump the ring in champagne, which I do sometimes, we always explain to the bride when we give it back, if it smells a little like champagne, we tried to clean it for you. Okay, so what are we going to shoot with this? Like the rings wouldn't really work because they're kind of low to the ground. Oh, the rings will totally work. Why not? Oh, I like a challenge. Oh, what about an apple? Fake apple. Phenomenal. If you look at my blog post about Creative Live, I have one of my favorite ring shots has 2 glittery pears. Well, this just might be really cute. Let's see. Maybe I'll do the shoes instead. Nope, I'm going to do the ring. We'll see if we can make this work. And I'm going to take a look. And sometimes I might set up something like this and really look at it and be like, no, or I'm not getting the ring high enough. If I don't have the ring high enough, I'll put it on something else. Hang on a second. It's not. So the setup is perfect. The height of the ring is wrong. I get this. Y'all are laughing at me. I can hear you. You're practically going to hear the internet rolling its eyes at me right now. Okay. But the problem is, like I said before, when you've raised the bar on a certain type of shot and your client comes to expect it, and you show up on the wedding day and they're like, I can't wait to see what you do with my rings. And I'm like, I can't either. I'm going to turn it a little into the sun, like yay so. Okay. There we go. I don't like the stem, so we're going to flip it and just prop it there instead. Don't tell my clients, but I've actually held their ring in place with a little chewing gum before. And I have some clients who are photographers who are watching, so they'll know that I am not a drunk, but that's probably going to overflow, but that I do take their champagne and then I put their rings in it. Okay. Delicious. Okay, so one in the foreground, one in the background. Let's take a look at what I've got going on. I'm going to hop back up to F9, possibly. We're going to see what our foreground-background relationship is doing here. This actually might be pretty sweet. So here we go. Oh, this is sweet. All right, F11. Underexposed by about a stop because I understand that my dark background is going to freak it out. Please indulge me in one more pour of champagne. If you don't have champagne, I highly recommend orange juice and water. Also Sprite, not half bad. Or if you just have a little champagne, like they're really drinking it and you don't want to take it all, champagne and Sprite, still bubbly. And I'll have my assistant pour it right before I shoot it so that the bubbles are still going, and let's see if we've got anything here. This is either going to look cool or it's going to be a colossal failure. I'm banking on cool. There you go. Champagne in the front, champagne in the back. It's really kind of hard to see it there. against the dark background. You can also, but I still really like it, because it shows you what you can do foreground, background with something as simple as that. Sometimes I will also get my own hair in my face, apparently. Let's see. I want to dump half of this out, but I don't know where to put it. Can I hand it to you? Can you hit it in the bath? Thank you. Naomi is lovely. I'm making her do everything for me. So as you can see, you look at these shoot through things and these foreground, background things, and they look so complicated, but they're not really. And if I were going to shoot this one more time, maybe I would actually choke up a little bit more, maybe down a half, because it's showing a lot of the apple. But I kind of like that it's showing a lot of the apple, especially if the apple was in her room while she was getting ready. Beautiful, my friend. Thank you. It's very exciting being an audience member, as you can tell. So sometimes I'll say, do you mind if I throw your ring in some champagne? No? Good. Down it goes. It's pretty sweet, actually. OK, let me be clear that I would never use her tiara to fix it, but I don't have anything else. I hear you laughing. Don't laugh. So we're going to play with it. There we go. Sorry, I need way more hobbies than this. Like, this should not be, this is like science experimenting here. And again, I don't normally get this amount of time, or if I do get this amount of time, it goes a lot faster because I'm not explaining everything I'm doing. Get my dark background. Let's see if this is going to make a difference at all. Hold on one second, guys. Yep. All right. Can I borrow you one more time, yes. Brave soul? And yes, I know I'm about to spill this all over the mirror. So can you come over on this side? And I'm going to focus. And then when I say go, just dribble and pour in there. Okay. Right? But like, you can just pour it from this or you can pour it from that, whichever makes you happy. So the reason why I'm going to focus and hold first is because when all the bubbles come rushing in, it's going to be really hard to focus on it. So I'm going to get a focus on the ring, underexposing because I know that my dark background is going to throw it off. So I've got to focus on it. Before she even starts pouring, I'm just going to take a test shot and see what it looks like. I'm going to see if my exposure is correct because I don't want to ruin all of their champagne. My exposure is lovely. How lovely. Do I want to, trying to see if I wanted to add any sort of lighting element in it, but I don't. Again, I'm making my already complicated setup even more complicated for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So I'm going to focus. I'm going to get ready. Let's see, give me 2 seconds, guys. Macro focusing underwater is joyously fun. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, pour. And usually for something like this, I'll snap off a couple in a row, but because we're shooting tethered, I only shot one. But there you go. Cool, yeah? One window, a suitcase, and Naomi. Thank you, friend. So maybe I'll get to shoot all of these scenarios. Maybe I'll shoot one at the start of the day, and I'll borrow it again during cocktail hour and shoot another. But I'm actually pretty darn pleased with every single one of these. And it was done with a window, a camera, and a dream, turning off the overhead lights, remembering the stick at about F11 if you want everything in focus, 2 black suitcases, and a mirror that I pulled off the wall. Any questions for the last couple of minutes? It's seriously like doing a science experiment. Hit me. Of course.
You typically, I see a lot of your detail shots being vertical for some reason, and I wonder if you have a preference for that, or if you try to like just whatever.
I don't have a preference for it. A lot of times it's lack of space. Okay. Like if I can create a little tiny inlet that I can shoot in, if I go horizontal, I lose it all. For this, it was just the impact of the vertical thing. But there's really no rhyme or reason. It's just whichever I feel suits the photograph better. How does the internet feel about rings?
You know, we've been getting a lot of questions about if you use back button focus.
You know what? I don't use back button focus. And there's absolutely no reason why I don't. Okay. It's a personal preference. I've tried it, but apparently because I'm getting old and set in my ways, I don't like to change things. I know a lot of shooters who back button focus and it works really well for them. I've just gotten so accustomed to front button focusing or shutter focusing that's how I go about it.
It's just the way you roll.
It's the way I roll.
Nice. Oh, we have another question
Yes,
over
ma'am.
here.
When you're selecting where on the ring to focus on, do
Mm-hmm.
you follow the same rules like you would on a face, just the area that's closest to you?
For the most part, yeah, unless I'm gonna bust myself on that tether at some point in time. Usually it's because the prong sticks out a little further. Even if the diamond sticks out further, if I try to focus on the diamond, it's gonna focus inside the diamond. So if I realize that I'm focusing on a prong, but the diamond sticks out further, I'll go to like f16 to compensate. Okay. But the prongs are usually kind of where it's at. Yes, anybody?
Let's see. We have another question about the lenses. I know you did most
Yes,
of them
please.
with the macro.
Of course.
But do you change them out? Do you try other lenses as well if people don't have a macro, if they have sort of a less expensive lens? What's your experience?
You can't do this with the 24-70. Like it's a very specialized, it's macro photography. You can't make your 85 look like a macro. You can shoot it and you can crop it, but it's not quite the same. If you don't have a macro and you want a macro, a used macro, an ancient macro. Like it doesn't have to be the newest and brightest. You could probably spend a few $100s and just get something. If you've only got a couple of weddings a year, maybe renting it is a better financial option for you. Maybe you have a friend who's a food photographer who doesn't use it on Saturdays and you borrow it. I don't go into debt to buy gear, but there's nothing wrong with buying a really cheap, maybe off-brand, maybe very, very used, maybe it's only a manual focus until you have the funds to upgrade.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And Susan, we have about 5 minutes left before we wrap. Was there anything else you wanted to do shooting-wise, or keep taking
I can
questions?
do one more.
What works?
The dress?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in 5 minutes, what I would do is something like this. The reason why I'm closing the shears, if I close the shears, you can't see the lines in the window, right? So, can everybody help me clear the bed? If we're gonna do this ultra fast, and I'm gonna change my lens. Yeah, you can just grab all those and just hoist out of the way with them. If we're shooting something like an invitation, which I'll shoot for you tomorrow on the reception table, usually what happens, we get given the invitations at the beginning of the day, I totally space on them and forget them, and then we have to shoot them later during the reception. I'm going to follow the exact same setup that I would to shoot all of these things, except I'm going to make sure that I'm definitely at least f11 so that I have all of the invitation in focus. Unless I'm just trying to focus on a name, and then I'll go to like f4 or 3.5. Where did we cleared the veil so efficiently that I can no longer find it. So for something like this, we've got the dress in the window. The room isn't, it's not gorgeous. It's not the client's fault. It's just not. If you're looking for something to make a phenomenal picture, this might not be your room. Let me pull this, let's just turn it and get it out of the way. So the first thing I would do if I'm really pressed for time and I just got to shoot it and we got to run, I've got my 24-70 at f4. I'm going to focus on this. And I'm just going to take a test shot on aperture priority to show you guys what it would look like if I didn't change my aperture priority settings at all. So it's not half bad. If you'll notice, there's a lamp on the floor. There's a chair right there. You're not seeing it because everything is darkening down. Then from there, what I would do is I want to raise it up about 3/4 of a stop, zoom in a little, and crop out that top. If you can see that like they've hung the tension rod a little lower than the top. I'll come down so that you don't see that as much and shoot that. Like such. Gives you a little bit better composition, brightens up the frame just a little bit more. If I want to start trying to get super creative on something like that, which I will, given the time, why are you people so good at cleaning? Can I have one of those? That one, yeah, so I don't step off camera. Thank you very much. Go back to the suitcase. Black side in, not red side in. Bring in the pillows so I can prop it. I might need to have somebody hold it. Do you mind? Just right there. I do a lot with veils. Veils help me out a lot. And then just hold it right there, like so. I shall make myself a nest. And I'll hold one side with my hand, like so. Let's see what we've got. We'll take a look. Haven't changed the settings one bit. I actually bumped the settings and now it's too dark. So let me lighten it up. I didn't realize that I'd bumped it with my thumb. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back up overexposed a little bit. Focus. A little recomposition, which I can do at f4. And done. See what we got? There we go. Lovely. That's pretty sweet. You can put it down, Naomi. Thank you very much. It's not so bad. If the veil is really long, maybe I'll hang it over the dress and pull it out. But all we did here was basically made a veil tent and hung it over my head. The reason why I did this, the other shot is fine. The one that I did before is fine with it just hanging in the window. But this one gives it an interesting graphic element and it allows me to use the veil as part of the image. I also, based on the way I exposed, which was overexposed in aperture priority by one whole stop, it allows me to show the detail in the veil, blow out the distracting window behind me, and then I have a natural vignette because everything else is dark thanks to my dark curtains. And my suitcase, and Naomi, and a camera and a prayer.